Welcome, fifth graders, to Compare and Contrast Day 1. Our learning targets for today. You will identify comparisons and contrasts, depicted in pictures. You will identify and use the signal language for comparing and contrasting. You will determine important information in a picture, and then you will use academic sentence frames to discuss strategies. And those are going to be listed on on the first page of the packet, the Unit 1, Week 1, Day 1 page. So let's get to it. Let's see, when we talk about comparing and contrasting, and we talk about the strategy, one of the things we need to know is when authors compare, they tell how two or more things are alike. Okay, you talk about how things are the same or similar. Okay, conversely, or on the other hand, or oppositely, when authors contrast, they tell how two or more things are different. Now, one of the things, boys and girls, especially when we're talking about in our guided reading and we're talking about study questions, and if I ask you to compare and contrast something, or if I ask you to compare, I'm asking you to both compare and contrast because we cannot pick out similarities unless we also notice differences. And if I ask you to contrast, I'm actually asking you to both compare and contrast because we cannot tell how something's different without really seeing how they're the same. So in my mind, comparing, you automatically, when you compare, you are contrasting. And when you contrast, you are automatically comparing because you need to see how they're similar to see how they're different. Okay? All right. So signal words when comparing, okay, would be also, similar, both, like. Okay? So authors use signal words such as also, similar, both, and like to help readers identify comparisons, how things are the same. Okay? To see how things are different, and to identify contrast, authors use signal words such as difference, but, however, and while, okay, to help readers identify contrast. Now, these are no way a exhaustive list of signal words for comparing and contrasting. I'm sure there are many that you can come up with on your own or you've come across as you've read. But this is a nice beginning. Okay? So, when I went to the library, I saw it was divided into many different sections. Okay? One section had a wide variety of children's storybooks in it. There were books on all kinds of topics and in all sizes. Another section was much larger, and it had adult fiction books. That section had all the bestsellers and lots of different stories. So my question is, and I just want you to think about this. This isn't one of your prompts in your packet, but how are the two sections alike? Okay, how are they different? Now, when we tell how two things are alike, we're comparing them. Okay, both of the sections have books. Both have fiction books in them. When we tell how things are different, we are contrasting them, or we are going to contrast them. I'm sorry, I'm having problems speaking. I apologize. One section has children's books. The other section has adult books. One section is big. The other is small. We often compare and contrast when we talk. Writers do this too. Good readers know how to compare and contrast people, events, and ideas in fiction and nonfiction texts. We are going to practice comparing and contrasting this week. Okay. So let's look at, this is in your packet, but it's so much better in color, isn't it? Okay, so when I look at this picture, the first thing I need to figure out is the first thing I need to do is figure out what it is showing me. Okay, one way I can do this is to determine what information is most important. Knowing what is most important makes things clearer in my mind. Let me show you how I do it. Okay, so now the first thing that I notice right away is airplanes. That's where my eyes are drawn. But the airplanes are part of it, but we have to figure out why the airplanes are present. So when I look up here, I see the title, and that's a very important thing for us as readers or observers to notice. Okay, so it says airplanes then and now. So when I look at this, the word airplane tells me what kind of things are in the picture. Now, if I knew that these were airplanes without looking at the title. I just saw that right away. Okay? So the word airplane tells me what kinds of things are in the picture, and the phrase then and now verifies what I see when I look at the pictures. Because when I look at the pictures, I see jets here in color, okay? And then I see what are called prop planes in black and white, okay? So when I look at this picture, I see that some of the airplanes are from now, and some are from some point in time in history, okay? The title and the photographs are important because they help me understand what I'm looking at and tell me one way I can compare and contrast the airplanes, okay? All right. Now, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to study the this poster in your packet, okay? And then I want you to complete the following prompts. They're prompts 1, 2, and 3. One way the airplanes are alike is fill in. One way the airplanes are different is fill in. And then clues that help me compare and contrast are. Okay? So why don't you take some time, pause the video, okay, and complete these sentence frames, okay? When you're done, restart the video and we're ready to move on. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So one of the things that as you looked at this, as I go back in time here, hopefully there are some natural words that you use when you're comparing and contrasting. Also, to, but, while. The ones that we talked about when we talked about the strategy and the strategy of comparing and contrasting. Authors use signal words such as also, similar, both, like. Authors use signal words such as difference, but, however, while. And that was for contrast. In the first list, that was for comparisons. Okay? So, as we go forward, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to look at the study questions then, questions 4, 5, and 6 for the Unit 5 Week 1, Day 1. Okay? Why is it important to compare and contrast? How does it help you? How did determining important information help you understand the picture? And what signal words for comparing and contrasting did we use today? All right. Remember, you can look for comparisons and contrasts in a text too. Tomorrow, we will practice comparing and contrasting in a text. All right, so that's what we have today. Please make sure to take some time. Make sure you complete Unit 5, Week 1, Day 1. The sentence frames when talking about the poster of the airplanes, and then just kind of the reflection pieces about comparing and contrasting and how we do it and why we do it. All right?